Welcome back to Science for Sleep, a place where big questions are explored slowly, where curiosity is allowed to breathe, and where science becomes something you can rest with. As you settle in, let your breathing soften. There's nothing to solve tonight, nothing to debate, only a question that humans have asked in one form or another for thousands of years. Is your consciousness connected to everything? Not metaphorically, not poetically, but physically, scientifically. Is the awareness you are experiencing right now isolated inside your skull? Or is it somehow woven into a larger fabric of reality? Let's begin gently. First, we need to understand what we mean by consciousness. Consciousness is not intelligence. It is not memory. It is not language. Consciousness is experience, the feeling of being, the sense that there is something it is like to be you. You see light. You hear sound. You feel warmth or coolness. And somewhere in all of that activity, there is a quiet witness. That witness feels personal, contained. But science asks a careful question. Where exactly is that witness located? Neuroscience tells us that consciousness correlates strongly with brain activity. When certain neural networks activate, awareness increases. When anesthesia suppresses those networks, awareness fades. When sleep deepens, consciousness narrows. Damage specific brain regions and parts of awareness disappear. This suggests something important. Consciousness depends on the brain. But dependence does not automatically mean separation from everything else, because the brain itself is not separate from the universe. Every neuron in your brain is built from atoms forged in stars billions of years ago. The oxygen powering your neural activity cycles through forests and oceans. The food that sustains your brain was grown under sunlight that traveled across space. At the most basic level, your consciousness arises from matter that has always belonged to the cosmos. So already there is connection. But is there more than that? Let's move deeper. One of the central puzzles in modern philosophy and neuroscience is something called the hard problem of consciousness. How does subjective experience arise from physical processes? We understand electrical signaling. We understand chemical gradients. We understand neural networks. But we do not yet fully understand how those processes become experience. Why does a certain pattern of activity feel like seeing blue? Why does another feel like remembering childhood? Why does physical matter give rise to awareness at all? Some scientists believe consciousness is an emergent property. When complexity reaches a certain threshold, experience appears, like temperature emerging from molecular motion, not present in individual particles, but arising when enough particles interact. In this view, consciousness is local. It happens in brains because brains are sufficiently complex. No cosmic connection required. This remains the dominant scientific position, but not the only one. There is a theory known as integrated information theory. It proposes that consciousness corresponds to the degree of integrated information in a system. The more a system's components influence one another in unified ways, the more consciousness it possesses. In extreme interpretations, this could imply that even simple systems possess tiny degrees of experience. Not thoughts, not awareness like ours, but minimal subjective states. If that were true, consciousness would not be exclusive to humans. It would be a gradient, spreading across living systems, and perhaps beyond. Another idea, more controversial, is panpsychism. This view suggests that consciousness is fundamental. That experience is not produced by matter, but built into it. In this perspective, what we call consciousness in humans is a highly organized form of something more basic that exists everywhere. Critics argue this stretches the concept too far. Supporters say it avoids the impossible leap from non-experiencing matter to experiencing minds. There is no decisive experimental evidence yet, but the debate remains active. Now we move into territory that captures public imagination. Quantum mechanics. Quantum entanglement reveals that particles can become correlated across distance in ways that defy classical intuition. Some have speculated that consciousness might exploit such connections. that minds could be linked non-locally, that awareness might extend beyond the brain. But here we must be careful. There is currently no reliable scientific evidence that human consciousness is quantum entangled across distance. Brain processes appear largely classical at the scale of neurons. Quantum effects dominate at subatomic levels, but maintaining such coherence in warm biological systems is extremely difficult. Still, research continues, because physics has surprised us before. There are also theories suggesting consciousness might be a field, like gravity or electromagnetism, a universal field that brains tune into. This idea is popular in spiritual and conspiratorial communities. However, it lacks empirical support. Fields in physics have measurable effects. Consciousness as a field has not demonstrated such measurable, repeatable signatures. But let's pause here. Even if your consciousness is not telepathically linked to every other mind, even if there is no measurable universal awareness field, there is still something profound. You are physically continuous with the universe. There is no clear boundary where you end and everything else begins. Your body exchanges matter constantly. Breath in, breath out. Cells die and are replaced. Atoms cycle. In that sense, consciousness is not sealed. It is a process emerging within a flowing system. Your brain is open to light from distant stars, to gravitational influences from massive celestial bodies, to electromagnetic signals crossing space. You are not separate. You are embedded. And that embeddedness shapes your awareness. There is also a systems perspective. In complex systems theory, individual units form networks. Networks produce patterns. Patterns influence the units. Feedback loops create coherence. From this view, human consciousness evolved within social networks, ecological systems, and planetary cycles. Your thoughts are influenced by culture. Your language shaped by community. Your sense of self defined partly by relationships. So while your subjective awareness is private, its structure is collective. Your consciousness is shaped by everything around you. Now we address conspiracies. Some claim that governments know consciousness is universally connected and suppress this knowledge. Others suggest secret experiments have proven telepathic networks or dimensional mind fields. There is no credible evidence for such claims. Scientific research into consciousness is global, open, and peer-reviewed. Extraordinary discoveries cannot remain hidden indefinitely. Still, the desire for connection reflects something real. Humans intuitively feel interconnected. Evolutionarily, cooperation improves survival. Neuroscience shows that empathy activates shared neural pathways. Mirror neurons respond when we observe others' actions. Our brains simulate one another. This creates a sense of shared awareness. Not mystical, but biological. So is your consciousness connected to everything? Scientifically, there is no evidence that your subjective awareness directly links to distant minds or cosmic structures through hidden channels. However, your consciousness is inseparable from the universe in a physical, biological, and informational sense. You are a localized pattern within a continuous system. Your awareness arises from matter that belongs to the cosmos. Your thoughts are shaped by interactions. Your identity formed through networks. In that way, connection is undeniable, not as a supernatural thread, but as continuity. And perhaps that is even more grounding. As you lie here now, breathing slowly, your brain is firing patterns shaped by starlight, gravity, evolution, culture, and countless exchanges of matter and energy. You are not isolated, but you are distinct, a unique configuration within a vast system. Science may one day refine this understanding further. But for now, this is where evidence rests. Consciousness appears to emerge locally, within a universally connected physical reality. No hidden telepathic web. No suppressed cosmic mind. But no true separation either. Just a system reflecting on itself. Let your breathing soften. There is nothing left to chase tonight. Only the quiet awareness that you are part of something vast, not through mystery, but through physics. Rest now. The universe is not separate from you, and you do not need to hold it together. Sleep gently. Crescent Moon.